So Keel is exactly the kind of stock I like because most investors still have not decided what it is. Is it infrastructure? Is it AI? Is it digital assets? Or is it something in between? And honestly, I think that's where the opportunity lies because the biggest winners in the market are often the companies that get revalued into a completely different category. Nobody cared when Amazon was an online bookstore. Nobody cared when Nvidia was a gaming GPU company. And nobody cared when data center operators were viewed as boring real estate. Then the story changed. And I think there's a chance that's happening with Keel right now. What caught my attention is that this isn't just another company throwing AI into a press release and hoping investors get excited. They're actually building the infrastructure that AI needs. And here's the thing most people don't appreciate. Everybody talks about AI models. Almost nobody talks about where those models actually run. AI requires enormous amounts of power, enormous amounts of cooling, enormous amounts of compute, and all of that requires infrastructure. And that's where I think Keel could have a real advantage here because they're not trying to build the next chat GPT. They're building the picks and the shovels. And historically speaking, the people selling picks and shovels often do pretty well during a gold rush. One thing I like is that management also appears to understand where the market is heading. Instead of viewing their infrastructure assets through a traditional lens, they're increasingly positioning them around AI and high performance computing workloads. And that's important because AI customers are willing to pay significantly more for quality infrastructure than traditional customers would. The economics can look completely different. Now, one number that stood out to me recently was the company's roughly $458 million convertible note raise. A lot of investors immediately see dilution risk and move on, and that is totally fair. But I actually looked at it a little bit differently because companies don't raise that kind of money unless they see opportunities worth investing in. Management is effectively telling the market they believe demand is coming and they want to build ahead of it. Now, could they be wrong? Absolutely. But if they're right, that's how outsized returns get created. When I look at the broader AI trade, I think investors are becoming increasingly selective. Not every AI company is going to win. Not every software company with AI in the name is going to win. But somebody has to provide the infrastructure. Somebody has to provide the power. Somebody has to provide the data center capacity. And that's where I think Keel becomes interesting. The other thing I like is that the market still feels early. If you walk down the street and ask somebody about Nvidia, most of them have heard of it. Ask them about Keel, and you will probably get a blank stare. And that's probably a good sign because by the time everybody knows the story, a lot of the easy money has already been made. Now, are there risks? For sure, there are risks. Their execution is a risk, competition is a risk. I mean, AI demand could cool off, as we've mentioned in previous videos. And if management does not deliver, the stock could absolutely get punished. Those are all legitimate concerns, but that's also why the opportunity exists in the first place. If everything were guaranteed, the stock wouldn't be where it is today. It would already be trading at some ridiculous valuation, and that's why I keep coming back to it. The market is already assigning huge premiums to obvious AI winners, but companies building the underlying infrastructure still feel a little underappreciated. And that's where I think Keel has a real chance. Not because it's guaranteed to become the next Nvidia, not because every project is going to work, but because the company is positioned directly in front of one of the largest infrastructure buildouts we've ever seen. And if AI spending continues anywhere near its current pace, somebody has to build the road. Somebody has to build that power. Somebody has to build that capacity. And Keel is trying to be one of those companies. And that's honestly why I like the stock. It's early. It's risky. It's definitely not for everyone for sure. But if management does its thing, I think investors may eventually look back and realize this wasn't a digital infrastructure story at all. It was an AI infrastructure story hiding in plain sight. So that's my take on Keel. Not financial advice, obviously. I'm just some dude on YouTube who spends way too much time looking at this shit. But if you enjoyed the video, I appreciate you hitting the like button and subscribing. Drop a ticker in the comments if there's another stock you'd like me to cover. This channel is still very new. I get it. Totally sucks. But every like, comment, subscriber helps immensely. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.